Monday the 13th of April. And as you can see, it's a beautiful start to the day. Today we're back on the Water of Leith, starting today at the beginning of the walkway at Balerno. So we're probably about 100 metres in, and already we're down now beside the river, which you can hear just down there to my right. The intent today is to finish off the walkway, having done the lower two sections over the past few days. So it's from Balerno down to Murrayfield for us today. I think it's around about 7 or 8 miles, I'm not sure. We are prepared with a packed lunch, so let's see how we get on. I think I said in the first video that the source for the river is actually up in the Pentland Hills. I think about another 10 miles, maybe a little bit further back upstream. But today we are going downstream. The initial section of the walkway follows the route of the old Balerno railway, obviously long since gone. Although it does strike me we're actually on quite a steep grade for a railway, but there you go. The old railway crosses the river here, and of course, as we're walking along the old railway, so do we. I don't think we could have asked for better weather this morning. It was blowing a hoolie yesterday, really quite windy. There are sections like this where the path comes right down to the river. It must have been a right old slog for the trains coming up here. It has levelled off a little bit now, but it was really quite steep there at the beginning, certainly in railway terms. It's also nice to note how peaceful it is out here, certainly compared to Dean Village where we were a couple of days ago. In the main, we've been sharing the path with dog walkers, cyclists and the occasional runner. The river has dropped quite a way down below us now. We have reached the village of Curry, which I think in the main was on the other side of the river behind me. Apparently there was a station here once, although I'm struggling to find any evidence of it. No platforms remaining. There was a road that ran under the railway, probably about 300 metres back, and after going under the railway went straight across the river, so I'd assume that's where the station was rather than down this far. We still have fields off to the right, so almost in countryside, but on the left, as I've just said, is the village of Curry. It is well hidden behind all the trees, although that garden down there is pretty obvious. And the left hand side appears to have been pretty well built up most of the way down so far. The weir and the now silted up race down below would indicate that there was once a mill here of some form. And I would hazard a guess that these houses now occupy the land where the mill once was. I'll see if I can find anything on Wiki. Another old railway bridge brings us back onto the left bank of the river. It does look like an old mill house down to Karen's left there. Our next point of interest, and that is a relative term, is the old site of the Juniper Green railway station, just behind me here. A little bit further down from Juniper Green and we have another housing development right on the river, on what I guess again was an old industrial site of some form. Mills, no doubt. There was a weir just up there, and in fact there's a water wheel on the wall in front of me there. I guess a reminder of what was once here. That's pretty cool to keep these little reminders in place. Unfortunately, we're about to pass under the A720, otherwise known as the Edinburgh bypass. We've had very little contact with cars so far, which is a real good thing, although we're not really coming into contact with them here. No doubt you can hear the traffic. Wouldn't be my choice of somewhere to live. But there again, I don't live here. That is one ugly structure. But on the plus side, it does mean the road is a long way above us. Just below the A720, and we have another weir. And downstream from it, we have some remnants of the old industry here, whatever it was. I don't know if this bridge here over the river is original or a modern replacement, but certainly that little tunnel going under the railway is original. I haven't had the chance to say it for a while, but today Karen is again rocking her hippie look. You hippie today, sweetheart?
I'm feeling hippie today, Mark.
All right, let's go on with this walk. Enough gush. We've just crossed another old bridge, bringing us onto the right bank again. I think next point of real interest is the Collington Tunnel, but I'm not sure how far down that is. But we'll soon find out. Well, that was a short-lived stint on the right-hand side of the river, as we cross almost immediately back onto the left. I would suggest that's an old mill house in front of us there, although it is now surrounded by a whole load of new build apartment blocks. But definitely an area where industry once existed. In fact, that little development is actually called Westmill at Collington. So we are clearly in Collington, or near it, and soon hopefully to go through the tunnel. So clearly we are at the site of the once Collington station. This impressive structure is the Collington New Bridge Viaduct. Looking on down from the viaduct in the distance, you should just be able to make out the start of the Collington Tunnel. To the wonderful sounds of a building site in action. And it's good to see evidence of the old industry that once existed around here, with a nice collection of old millstones out here on this little green section. The tunnel walls are adorned with artwork. I don't know how long the tunnel is, but it is lit, so we don't need to worry about it being too dark. So this tunnel is on a curve, which is cool. And I'll get the artwork coming down on the left-hand side. I'm actually really chuffed that it's not been abused. It would be in Reading, we can be sure of that. Having walked down, getting one side, I'll risk my luck and go back up, getting the other side. Luckily, on the way down, the few people that I did encounter kindly moved out of the way so as not to ruin my shot. That was as cool as, man. Really impressive. Coming out from the tunnel, and it's all gone very quiet again. It's actually quite a steep gorge we're in at the moment. We need a bench with some sunshine for lunch. So hopefully the gorge will come to an end and give us that sunshine. When we walked the first section of the river, or our first section from Stockbridge down to Leith, I did note that apparently there were around about 70 odd mills along the length, and I was somewhat sceptical, well, maybe just surprised. But given the number of weirs we are passing on the walk today, that number doesn't seem such a surprise. Finding a sunny spot for lunch may be a little bit ambitious, given it's gone quite cloudy now. But we found a bench, and we're on the path still with the river just in front of us. What are we having for lunch, Speed Up?
We are having a ham roll, pre-prepared, and our favourite barbecue hula hoops. Exciting lunch.
But I'm sure we'll enjoy it all the same. It would appear that my references to sunshine have angered the rain gods, for it is now raining, albeit lightly. In terms of our walk, we're still on the route of the old railway, but I've no idea what's going to greet us next. Unfortunately, before we can get to the Union Canal, we have to cross the A70 via this footbridge. Just another ugly road. The sun has brought a sharp increase in temperature, as all of a sudden it's got very warm, which is good. We like that. The Union Canal is off to my right, as you can see. And then just on the other side of that hedge to my left is the Glasgow to Edinburgh Railway. That's not its full name, I'll stick that down below, because there is more than one Glasgow to Edinburgh Railway. Looking ahead, I can see an aqueduct, which I believe takes us over the Water of Leith, which means we'll be able to rejoin it fairly soon. There is a path over the aqueduct. It is quite narrow. And over the buildings we can just see Murrayfield. So we are nearing our walk's end. As we come off the aqueduct, there is a set of stairs taking us back down to the Water of Leith. Down there under the railway bridge. As we head away from the Union Canal, we are now most definitely back in the confines of the city, as we are surrounded by industrial type stuff. It does seem surprising that the river appears to have got a lot smaller as we're coming downstream, rather than getting bigger. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I have no idea what it is. Unfortunately, as we get closer to the city centre, the environment degrades. Although I have allotments off to my right, there is this rather ugly fence. The river is on my left, and on the other side that is a road. So the dominant sound now is that of traffic. The joys of being in the city. We have Scotch pie, a small one. It won't cut. Good health. As we progress, the environment isn't really improving, staying the same. To my left, that industrial warehousing type stuff, and on the other side the river it looked like post-war housing development type stuff, although we're now approaching a rather busy looking road, so hopefully taking us out of this semi-industrial hellhole. Fingers crossed. According to the sign back there, we're about a mile out of Roseburn, which is pretty much where we finished when we walked up to Murrayfield. So not long to go. I don't think the environment's going to improve between now and Murrayfield, so I'll probably stop videoing until we get there. And there, lurking behind the bank, is Murrayfield. Which means we're almost at the end of today's walk. For completeness, we'll go back to the other side of the training fields where we finished on our second walk along the Water of Leith. The sun has gone back in, and no surprise, but the temperature has dropped again. That was rather bizarre how warm it got when the sun came out on the Union Canal there a while back. Oh, look at that. As I talk, it's just started to rain. And that's the end of the walk. 14 kilometres, 4 hours and 31 minutes. All in all, a good walk, albeit the last 2 or 3 kilometres within the confines of Edinburgh weren't quite so pretty, but certainly worth the effort. Did you enjoy that, Karen?
I enjoyed that, Mark.